Call this meeting to order. Roll call, we have myself and members Jacobson and Rockwell here. And on the phone are members Wheeler and members Miles. And so we do have a quorum here, and we can get this meeting started. Here, a motion to adopt the consent items. We have a motion and a second. Any citizens' comment? Okay, no citizen comments. All in favor of the consent item? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Aye.
All right. Yeah, we got you. Thanks, Carl. Should I let them know they can't?
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably best.
Carla and Wes, just as a point of order, you're present in the meetings, but actually from the phone you can't vote. Although we appreciate your motivation and vigor, I just thought I'd throw that out there for you. So anyway, thanks for being here, and we'll keep the meeting rolling. Right. And again, when you're not talking, mute your devices so noise doesn't come through. But thanks, and we'll get moving on.
Nothing personal.
Right, nothing personal. Right. Okay, so consent item is adopted. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? We have a motion and a second. Citizens' comment on the agenda for the evening? Pardon? Yeah, to move forward. All right. Excellent. So hearing none, all in favor of adopting the agenda? Aye. So the agenda is adopted. Now we have the citizens' comment for items not on the agenda, limited to 3 minutes. Hear any comments? Pardon? Wait a minute. Did I skip adoption of the minutes?
No, that was on the consent agenda.
Yeah,
so,
sorry.
yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Well, scare me there for a minute, Barry. All right. Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Now for the state of the utility. Who's doing? All right. My favorite part.
Okay. Good evening, Chairman Porter, members of the UAB, Tom Brown, Chief Operating Officer for GRU. I'd like to start out, if you indulge me just a little bit, and talk a little bit about our weather event that transpired on last Thursday. Just give you a quick summary of that, if you don't mind. The weather event began on 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. It was really rather unique as far as storms go because we had a low-level jet stream came down and actually gave us winds between 20 and 45 mile an hour for about a 12-hour period. And the wind direction was actually unusual for us. It was from the southeast to northeast. Usually they're coming down from the north, so a little bit of a unique weather system there. During the first 12 hours during those winds, GRU experienced multiple outages, system outages due to vegetation fallout, as you might imagine, for the day. We restored actually 11,000 customers between 10 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the evening. They just kind of came in bits and pieces, but we were able to keep up with it. Right before the front moved through, we were down to about 400 people that were offline at that time. The actual front passed through our area between 10 and 11, and it was pretty strong. It had areas of thunderstorms and very strong gusts that came with it. I think we lost the roof out at our Spring Hill facility where we house our vehicles. It blew that off, and there's evidence of some pretty high winds in the area. The line crew stood down at 9:45 in my direction, basically to take shelter and wait for the storm to move through. Since most of the crews had already worked a 14-hour shift, and to hold them through the storm would have put them close to 16, we sent them, the crews that worked the day shift and the evening shift home at that time. The frontal passage, once it went through, we had 14,500 customers offline, so in a matter of 15 minutes it just blew up on us. So we had multiple transformer trips at Millhopper, substation in The Hague, which is the one up near Deer Haven Renewable, due to lightning, and it caused 7 main circuit breakers to trip, which put most of those people in the dark. We had personnel from Transformer and Relay Group out all night, along with our trouble crews, and they did a remarkable job with limited number of people. We were able to get about 11,000 of those 14,500 back online by 7 o'clock in the morning. By 7 o'clock in the morning, we had about 3,000 customers out of service, and all circuits have been restored except for one where we had multiple poles that were broken. By 12 o'clock on Friday, there were 2,000 customers out. By 5 o'clock in the evening, we're down to about 1,000. And by 7 a.m. the following morning, we're down to around 200. So Friday morning, other utilities knew where they were, and mutual aid became available. So we brought in resources from Tallahassee and from OUC as well. So we brought 20 people in there to help our crews. They got here late morning. We had them deployed by noon, so they were a big help. We were glad they came. So by 12 a.m. on Saturday, we were down to about 100 customers, and all customers were restored by 5 o'clock Saturday evening. So folks did a pretty remarkable job, I thought. Water, wastewater, Friday night after the storm went through, had 44 lift stations out of 180, about that, without power. So it can be problematic, so as you might imagine. We were successful in getting with the circuits put back on. I think in the morning we were down to 15 that were still without power, and half of those had generators at, and we were moving generators around from station to station to keep the flows contained. And then I know Mr. Cunningham deployed 100% of his people through the night with tankers and vacuum trucks, and just to keep the system going. So they did an amazing job as well. With the problems we experienced at the Hague substation, electrical disturbances, we lost Deer Haven Renewable. It tripped offline. So the fellows worked most of the night getting that back. Once the Hague was restored, they brought Deer Haven Renewable back online. The combustion turbines were brought on to make up for the power deficit during that time. Damage-wise, we had 12 broken poles of various lengths. We had 12 overhead transformers of different sizes that blew up. We had approximately 50 weatherheads that were torn from people's homes. They had to get electricians out to put those back on. That's not our responsibility. And then we had all those reconnects as well. So all this was going on Friday and Saturday at the same time. So all in total, there's about 1.2 miles of conductor that was replaced, that couldn't be utilized. And at this point, I think the cost estimate for the repair is right around $500,000 in damages. So that's kind of the storm summary. I would like to take a minute and do my public service announcement here. If I could have the overhead, it would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay. Let's see if I can get this up here. I think every storm season, I stand up here and tell people to stay away from down lines. And every storm, it seems like we have some good person out there that thinks they're doing the right thing, that goes up and rolls up the line and tries to get something out of the road, thinking they're doing people a favor. In this case here, I want to show you a couple slides. Let's just 1 second here. It's on the back side here. This is what we found when our crews rolled up to this address. It was up on the northwest side. Somebody had rolled up an overhead cable that had come down, and then they had taken caution tape, and this is a block of wood up here that they tied around the caution tape to throw up around, I think it was a Cox line and R line, to get their point across to be cautious. But what I'd like to show you now is that line that's on the ground was actually energized with 7,700 volts. So it had fallen down, and what you're looking at right here is a fuse that had tripped when the line came down. So the line itself had been dead, but it fell across this line here, and you can see that fuse is still intact.
Right.
So we have no idea who did this. They're just very lucky to be alive. So, again, if anybody's watching out there, we have telephone numbers to call 911, call us. Downlines are a high priority for us. We'll get somebody there as soon as possible. You want to make safe, or you want to keep people from driving over, it's one thing, but stay the heck away from our power lines. Someone's going to get killed. It's just not a question of if. It's very unforgiving stuff, and it's just wicked bad when people, I mean, I think most people have been shocked at home with 110 volts. It kind of goes over your surface, your skin, makes it tingle, and you go, ow. 7,700 volts will absolutely blow you up. If you ever saw a tree that got hit from lightning, that's from the water in the tree turning to steam, and it just goes kaboom. And I'm here to tell you, your body will do the same thing. So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it happen on my watch. Not while I'm here. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. It's just not worth it. So please stay away from our power lines when they're down. Call the authorities. Somebody will be there fairly quickly to make it safe. The State of the Union, State of the Utility for January was actually a very good month for us. Safety-wise, we had 0 recordables. We had 0 vehicular accidents. So year-to-date, we have 3 recordables, which is on a better pace than last year. And vehicle-wise, we have 2 recordables. One was preventable and one wasn't. Those descriptions are in your packet. From an environmental perspective, we had no NOVs or non-compliances. Compliance, there were no notice of violations for January, so there were no current reports. There were no self-reports either. Year-to-date, we had 1 notice of a violation that was administratively, they just told us don't do it again. And then we had 2 self-reports that are pending. I will like to mention that last week we also had people from CERC, the Southeast Reliability Council. That's the group that took over from the Florida group that administers our NERC and FERC for us. And they did an operational audit on us. There's about 1,100 different requirements that we're required to meet at all times. They went through, they were very pleased with what they saw. They found one finding, and that was on a T-line segment that the actual physical operating parameters differed from what we had in our books. So we'll correct that and go forward from there. From a reliability standpoint, we had high availability from all units. I think Kelly was offline for a little bit, but the rest of the units were there at 100%. We had 26 outages for the month. 9 of those were for human causes, people hitting poles, and 7 of them were equipment failures. And I think water, wastewater, from what I can tell, had a pretty normal month, had a good month. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to address them. If not, I'll let you proceed.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I want to commend GRU employees, Tom, all your group. You did a hell of a job. That was a major, major event. It was amazing how quickly y'all got back.
Well, thank you.
I did catch a little flack from some folks who felt like they weren't informed enough or didn't feel like the communications were up to speed on repair time. I don't think that's a matter of what y'all did. You did a great job. I just think it's a matter of people not knowing, kind of in the dark. And I don't want to talk about it now. Maybe at some future meeting before the hurricane season, if we could have a discussion about what is the utilities outward face after a storm like this hits. What are our steps? I mean, I know we have a recording saying that your house will be repaired by X amount of time. But I had a lot of folks say, hey, that recording was off by about 2 days or whatever. So if we could talk about, and I know that you're working on an app where people can look up and see on their phone what type of response time they should expect. I'm not criticizing. I'd like to hear some sort of discussion in the future about how we can keep people better in the loop after one of these events. That's it.
That's noted, and we're working to get better, and we were not pleased with the fact that our outage map went down. It actually failed twice during the day, and it had been working fine prior to that. It failed once around 10 a.m. before the event even started, and it was repaired. There was a data switch that had gone bad, and then, believe it or not, I got just at 9:30 at night, right before everything transpired, it went down again. And we're still working to understand that. We have an alternate proposal for a new map in the works. Hopefully we'll get that up and running, and that won't be as much of an issue. I will say most of the time we had between 400 and 600 calls in the queue that some person had to go through and get that information off the call and put it into a job ticket to get it into the system. That's pretty normal. But that continued into Saturday morning, so we were getting 1 to 2 calls a minute at times coming in. So we had 3 or 4 people dedicated to just doing that. And just as a public service announcement, I will tell you that using profanity on the phone does not get your power restored any faster. So most people were kind and courteous and left us the information that we needed to do our job. That was very much appreciated. There were others that the poor men and women that have to listen to those calls had nothing to do with your power going out. So I appreciate that going forward in the future. I'd also like to give a shout out to the people in the community that took the time to come up to our crews and thank them, because it means a lot to them. It really does. So that was good stuff.
And I did do that. I was one of those people because I did appreciate it. We were out for a good bit of the night.
Thank you very much, Wes.
I think you're doing a tremendous job. It's just how do we convey that message? But I'm working on.
Well, I'll tell you, there's nothing that will motivate them more than somebody just appreciating what they do. So again, I thank you, everybody.
Can I add something before you said?
Surely.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if y'all can hear me or not. First of all, I just wanted to say I know there were a lot of outages, but I appreciate the reliability of several homes that did not go out. Even though we experienced a lot of damage, we still kept power. A lot of us on the east side, where most people expect us to go out, still had power. And then I wanted to also say thank you, men. GRU was covered and blanketed the neighborhoods, and they were working extremely hard. And I just wanted to send an appreciation to the men and women that allowed that to happen for us so quickly, because it was, as I recall, several people started saying, hey, I'm back on, and it happened pretty quickly. So even though it seems like a stretch, and I'm quite sure you guys worked extremely hard to make that happen, it looked fast on our end. And so we are really appreciative, myself and a lot of people in my community. So thank you.
You're welcome. This storm seemed to hammer the west side a little bit harder than
Yeah.
the east part of the community, but that's just the way it went through.
Teresa, you had a comment?
But we'll be glad to come back at a future date and go through our restoration priorities. But all the priority 1 customers are number 1 on the list, and they get restored first. And
Yeah.
there's a definite sequence and process to what we do. And unfortunately, if you're the only person in your neighborhood that doesn't have power, you're probably going to be one of the last people that get restored. We're going to take care of the 20s and 40s and 50 customers that we can restore with 1 repair first.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody. All the schools were up and running by Friday morning. That was wonderful. And I'm on a different power company, and they were on after you guys. So the public schools really thank you a lot, everybody, from in the office to out in the field to behind the scenes, everywhere. It was a big outage, and we appreciated everything going so fast.
It was a little nip and tuck, I will tell you that, because, I mean, police stations, hospitals, schools, anything public service-wise is the number 1 priority, and then we try and get those on first. I think there were 3 schools that came on,
A little bit later.
5 o'clock in the morning, maybe,
Right.
they came back. Yeah,
So we appreciate that.
well, thank you.
On the other hand, I'm the one.
You're the one. I'm so sorry, Wendell.
Yeah, it's all right. I never know how to turn these off. Never mind. All right, so state of the
utility as opposed to the
Utility,
union.
just what I said. Yeah, any other questions or comments? Thanks.
Sorry, thank you.
I gotta get back to my, now we're up to new business. Wow. New business is resolution authorizing the issuance of Gainesville Regional Utility System Revenue Bonds 2020 Series A and B. Take it away.
Mr. Chair, back in October, the City Commission and the UAB authorized the General Manager to execute a potential range of financial transactions subject to some execution parameters and timelines being met. One of the transactions that was approved, or one of the types of transactions, was a refunding of fixed-rate debt, and the 2010 C Series qualifies under that regard. We brought a resolution back before the City Commission last week on this transaction simply because last October when we brought the resolution forward, we contemplated doing it as a public offering. But given the size of this transaction at about $10.5 million, it's much more cost-effective and much more efficient to do it as a direct placement rather than a public offering. So the resolution we brought back before the Commission last week authorizes such a direct placement. We priced the transaction yesterday. It'll close tomorrow, and we'll issue the bonds on July 7th. So in essence, it's the same transaction that you approved back in October. We didn't change the mechanics of the transaction, simply the manner in which we're bringing it to the market. So, but we wanted, even though we had the Commission approve the resolution last week, we wanted to bring it before you, give you the opportunity to hear the details behind it and ask any questions if you've got them.
Comment, Barry?
Just, what are the projected savings?
The gross savings, refunding is over a 14-year period. The gross savings is about $4.1 million. The present value is $3.5 million. It is a net present value percentage savings above 30%. We don't get to see those very often. So we're very happy with the way it turned out. The fixed rate is 2.06%
Nice.
going forward.
Okay, thank you. That was informational, so there's no item for us to work on. We're at basically the end of our meeting, probably one of our quickest one. We're up to member comment, and the member in the middle of the table, that would be me. Oh, do we have a comment down here, Don? Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
I was pretty slow with my little button here, but I did want to ask Mark. I think I understand, but just for the benefit of the other members of this board and of the public, who got cut out to save us some money by going to direct? Was there some middleman? And explain the middleman a little bit to us.
Nobody actually got cut out. The reason we do a direct, let me back up a little bit. A direct placement is when we sell the bonds to an underwriter and they essentially take them onto their balance sheet. Under a normal public offering, we'd sell them to an underwriter, and then they in turn would offer them to the public, and a variety of investors would purchase those. In this regard, we sent out a proposal to 7 or 8 different underwriters. They sent in term sheets giving us what they thought the indicative rates would be. We selected the best prospect out of those, and then we sell those bonds directly to them. They do have the opportunity to turn around and sell those into the public market. They generally hold them on their balance sheet because they're not rated and there's no official statement or disclosure. If they want to turn around and sell those bonds, they generally have to pay to insure them. So nobody got cut out, but what we saved was we don't have the cost of the official statement. We don't have to pay to get the bonds rated. We don't have to do the staff lift of putting together a disclosure document. And for an issue that's only $10.5 million, those types of costs will eat up a lot of the savings on such a small offering. When we put the resolution together in October, we contemplated doing it as a public offering because we didn't know in what combination we would be doing these transactions. And I think we assumed that this one would go with some others and it would be a larger transaction. It's just that the timing worked out, that it was in our best interest to do this piece individually, and so it made much more sense from a financial standpoint to do a direct placement.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don, for asking that question. Member comment. I'm going to start off with a comment tonight. One is that we're going to have a workshop next, and probably ought to put a call out to the fellow board members on what you think needs to be discussed in our next workshop. I'll put out the same. Remember, don't reply all back. Just put out your thoughts. And I'm sure we can rely on Robin to make up a list of things we want to talk about. And so we can do that. And it's also a kind of a general point of order here. And let me preface it, what I'm going to say next by the fact is that most of it's probably because many of us up here know each other real well. I go back with Mr. Jacobson here probably close to 25 years. I've known Teresa probably close to 15. A lot of us have known each other a long time, and we can almost guess what the other person is going to say. But we demand the public work through the rules of order here too. We should probably also keep the same here. So in our last couple of meetings, we've kind of sometimes interrupted each other or talked over another person. And let's try to not do that and work through the chair. It's not really me that's trying to do that. It's just that if we ask one side of the podium to do a certain rules of order, we ought to do the same ourselves. So let's just be a little bit more careful about that. It's a little bit more difficult. We're on the phone because you can't hear too well, and I recognize that, but still, in the future, let's try that a little bit better. And so the workshop was my main comment, and open up for the rest of us for a comment, member comment for the end of the evening. Any other comments?
If there are no other, I do have one.
Okay, Wes, go ahead.
I would like to see another priority I would like to promote for this year for the board to consider. We brought it up briefly here, and Mr. Berlowski said he didn't have staff time for it. But I've had to travel a lot lately, and I have been amazed and gratified to find so many communities have electric vehicle charging stations, and in many cases free. I had to travel to the meeting a couple of weeks ago. The City Hall had a charging station. I've had to travel to Leon County twice for both business and pleasure in the last month, and in both times, 2 separate locations provided by the library system as charging. I think electric vehicle charging stations are a great promotional facility, and perhaps a great rep. I'd like to pick that ball up and run with it again this year and promote that at some workshop or some discussion in the future to be discussed by the board.
Wes, we missed some of that. Your connection's a little blurry, but just put that in your response to Robin about what should be in our workshop, and we'll discuss that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Wes. Okay, and citizen comment. Do we have any citizen comment?
Yes, my name is Donald Shepard. I'm People's Representative. I just wondered what the gentleman that spoke, Steve Barvell, meant by the bond disclosure. I think that there, he said that, if I remember right, that was a cost-cutting item. I think in the eyes for the public and for myself, I would like to have that information so that it gives us an outlook towards the actuals of what transpired in those transactions that took place. That way, you know, the upcoming meeting coming in a month or two, that that would be in there. That's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard.
Good evening, Nancy Deeren. First of all, I'd like to extend my additional public thanks to the employees and all of GRU for how they handled the storm. I called in. Anyway, and someone came around a few days later, actually, and asked if everything was okay, because there were ghost tickets. And so someone came through and followed up just to make sure, and I thanked them. And it just always breaks my heart when I do thank folks out in the field, because they go, oh my gosh, they're so taken aback that somebody actually would appreciate the work. And that we did so well with the reliability. This is huge. So I really appreciate that. I'm really glad the transmission line thing with FP&L was tabled. With the huge changes in the entire global utility industry, our economy, our financial systems, I think it's imperative we maintain local control over our energy, water, and our food. We have to look at systems change and looking at, I think we need a lot more discussion about how to move forward with GRU from a systems approach, not just look at a transmission line, or we need rate structures that are very different. We need demand side management, all kinds of things, and it's changing so rapidly that I think it warrants further discussion and really delving into what can we do. We're members of APPA. Rocky Mountain Institute's working with cities and states, and the Bloomberg Challenge, they are offering things out there for free for people to take a look at. And I had a question in the paper, was this public notice of Title V air permits, and to my uneducated eye, it was confusing, and I'd really appreciate understanding more, because, again, I don't know what I'm reading here, but it looked like we weren't going to, again, and this is wording, I have no idea, I'm not saying anything, that it looked like there was there was going to be an abandonment or not doing some of the air quality measures we have been doing because of changes in the laws, but I just want to understand it better, because I can't read this language. So that was my other question, but anyway.
Thank you. All right. Members have commented, so has the citizens. Next meeting date is March 12th? Right. And that's our...
The workshop is February 25th. I'm sorry if I forgot to put that in there, but yes, February 25th.
Okay.
And then the regular meeting will be March
12th.
Whatever I said there, yeah.
March 12th. All right.
And I just wanted
Can we
to,
put that in the workshop and find out what the permit was about? The
Yeah,
air quality?
and again, send in your comments to Robin about what needs to be in the... Yeah. Good deal.
I have a question.
All right. Go ahead, Carl.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Oh,
go.
okay. I'm sorry. I was trying to wait everybody to finish talking. Robin, did we ever reschedule the joint city commission UAB meeting? We had one scheduled like last month, and we had to cancel.
do you mean the budget workshop that we were going to
Yes,
do?
ma'am.
jointly? No.
Yes, ma'am.
No, Carla, we didn't. We had to make a change to the calendar because of some other things that happened. I will update you all by email about that tomorrow to let you know what
Okay.
the revised schedule is.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn. Second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.